And it's just continuing on. Hi, I'm Deborah Gardner, the host for Hospitality Today Live, the #1 hospitality show worldwide. And we are just delighted, absolutely delighted that you are here with us, not only all day, but even now. And I want to ask you, do you know that saying, save the best for last? Well, that's exactly what we did here on this special GMID 21 edition. I have the honor, the president of Teneo Hospitality Group with us today. It's a global sales organization that represents the finest, and I'm talking about the finest lifestyle and luxury hotels in the world. And how do I know? Well, let's just say I had the pleasure to present at their sales conference in 2019 and just had a great time. It was a great experience, great people, and we are talking about looking at talking with a great leader. Let me tell you, Darrell Tamosuinas, if I can say his name right, I will be delighted. But we'll get down to the bottom of that just in a minute. So I can't wait till you meet him. Hang on. Welcome back, everyone, to Hospitality Today Live, the special GMID edition. And I am here from the greater Minneapolis area. Hi, Darrell. Tamosuinas.
Tamosuinas, but that's okay.
Tamosuinas. We just really had this lesson beforehand, and I still didn't get it right.
That's all right. It's happened before, believe me.
Yeah, I bet. Well, happy GMID to you, sir. We're glad you are here, and we've got a lot to cover to help end out and close out this special day at GMID. So again, welcome.
Thank you. You know, Deborah, when I was thinking about it, it's the end of the day, and I was thinking, now I'm at the end of the roster. Am I a designated hitter? Am I the pitcher coming up to bat, kind of the throwaway batter, or am I cleanup? So I appreciate what you said, but I was just kind of thinking, should I or should I not have a complex?
Well, I think we're hitting a home run here. So you must be coming in for the home run for this entire show. And we're just so grateful that you are here. And for those of you that have not heard of or experienced your amazing hospitality group, Teneo, they definitely, you've got it rocking. It's just amazing, this hospitality group. And again, I've experienced it firsthand and very proud of what Teneo has done. And we're going to get to know what you have been doing this past year. And why not start there? What's going on?
Well, let me tell you a little bit about who Teneo is. There's probably I imagine some viewers out there that don't know Teneo. We've been around since the end of 2013, and we are a representation company. We represent over 300 4- and 5-star resorts and hotels, and we're a membership organization, and we represent about 25 DMCs domestically through DMC Network, our affiliate, and through Platinum DMC, excuse me. We have just about 60 different DMCs around the world. And if you're not familiar with us, we're similar to a model such as Alhi or DMI. We're different from Conference Direct and Helms Briscoe in that we are a membership organization. Of course, there are more site selection around the world. And as Mike Schucht, our president, likes to say, is we're the voice of the independent and the small brand hotels. So
that is wonderful. Yeah, and that was my next question: how you differentiate yourself with Alhi or other organizations, and that is a clear picture of where your niche is, and obviously it's been working. So what it's been a tough year. There's no doubt about it. What did Teneo experience during this pandemic?
Well, let me go back to the beginning, and I'm sure this isn't any different than what a lot of people in the industry experience, from our members to our clients and our members, including destination management companies and others. And I would say that we went through, and around the beginning of March last year, 2020, there was shock. Some people exhibited some panic. And of course, the big issue became, how long is this going to last? It was just the unthinkable. And how are we going to survive? That was the biggest, that's kind of what set in right at that period of time. And I'd say at that point, and I'll explain a little bit about our background and some of the experience that our people have with crisis, but we kind of collected our thoughts. And I have to say there were two principles that we kind of hung on to at that time. One of my Jewish friends, and obviously there's just a world of wisdom in a lot of their expressions, but after the dust settled a little bit and I was trying to figure out what we were going to do with our organization, my buddy said, a good friend of mine said, when one must, one can. And I think that was a real good guiding principle. And the next was, we said, look, what's our fundamental philosophy in our business? What is the key focus that we always have? And that was on relationships. Clearly, we try to develop trust, but we have a lot of long-term relationships. And I mean, some of our relationships that some of our folks have are over 30 years old. So, we had to come up with a strategy to protect those relationships. And Deborah, I don't know if you want me to just keep on going with this. Do you have any questions?
Oh yeah, we're just a casual conversation here.
All right,
that's for sure. So, how did you summarize your thoughts at the time of this pandemic outset? Because when this all hit, I mean, right away, did you go into strategy mode of what you're going to need to do to keep things running?
Okay, so we said, we don't have any idea how long this is going to last.
Right.
Much deeper than we expected.
Sure.
Even from the outset. And the cancellations of meetings started, and there was just an overall panic. And your knee-jerk reaction is, clearly in an organization, is you just cut costs however you can. And of course, in our business, in most businesses similar to ours, the cost cutting is staff. And so we said, but if we're going to come out of this thing someday, however long that takes, we're going to have to preserve our staff somehow. We're going to have to do some really careful budgeting. And there's a principle, and of course, I've got a different type of background than most people in the hospitality business. And there's a principle out there where you basically share the pain. And so we said, if we don't keep as many people on board as possible, and if we don't do that and figure out and explain it to people in our organization, we're just not going to be, when we do come out of this, when the pandemic, or at the time, whatever the crisis was, when we come out, we're not going to be around. So we had to say that. And so that meant that we had to institute an austerity program, and we had to bring everybody on board. So probably to get to your specific question is maybe how we did that.
Right.
And, we did two things. First of all, we went out and we explained to our group that and I did kind of an extensive memo to everybody, and we had a all hands on deck call, and we said, look, we've got two options here. We can either be an organization we can either be an organization and come out of this thing, or we can disappear. and we certainly don't want to disappear. And we have a lot of mouths to feed, a lot of families to take care of. And so, and the other interesting thing is that we have, our organization was crafted from the ashes of a predecessor organization that failed. And so we had people that have had experience with crisis. In fact, a lot of the people that came on board had other similar types of experiences. So we had a pretty good audience, an understanding audience. And we knew if we could be truthful with everybody, we could say, look, we need to share the pain. And that goes from the top to all over the organization, through the sales staff, through the administrative staff. And we called it an austerity program. Oh. And so we had a few furloughs. We had salary cuts. We had just a belt tightening like you wouldn't believe. And I want to make sure that everybody knows is that with that type of strategy and with everybody working together, we were able to come through this together. And now fortunately, we're starting to unwind from that. The other thing we did was we went out right from the beginning, and this would be in March of 2020, right at the very front end when this thing started happening, and you start to analyze what it looked like. We went out with an article that is on our website in a COVID section, because we had to start doing a communications program. And in that communication, we kind of laid out and we said, we think there's a shift that's going to happen here. Prior to that point, I'd say that our selling theory was for venues and things like that was for our clients that we had to articulate about our members was an experiential element and a feasibility element. So where can we have our clients would want an experiential meeting somewhere at some venue like that, and it had to fit in their budget. That was the driver. Now that was actually going to take a backseat to safety. So we went out with an article that basically said, if we're going to get meetings back together, people are going to have to be comfortable someday. And all we tried to do was to say, look, this is what's going to happen, is that we need to have safe meetings. We need to start promoting safe meetings. That means, a lot of things about protocols, a lot of things about, we had obviously you had a very dangerous virus that was transmittable, and that's what we had to work with. So that's how we started. So I'd say budgeting, understanding, that there's going to be a new paradigm, a new to selling, and it was going to be safety.
And it worked for you.
It worked for us, and of course we're not alone in this in this process. So right. I think the other interesting thing that happened here was you had to have a lot of communications out there, and and really what was going on was you had a dangerous virus that was contagious, very contagious, and initially there weren't any solutions, and then we knew that eventually there would be some treatments, and we knew that eventually there'd be some vaccines, but the world was trained to be very fearful.
Yeah.
And it was a scary time. And I'll tell you what, Deborah, this was an interesting thing is that if anybody doubts it, here we have a $600 billion business, or the world, not our business, of course, but the world of hospitality. You have all of these people that are involved in this business, 7 million people, whatever it is, and that are dependent on it. And you had to have some type of communications out there to help people understand what was going on. And I take my hat off to people like Mike Dominguez of Alhi, and he's been tirelessly having programs, educational programs and all, trying to explain where we were on the curves and what was happening out there. our guy, which is Mike Shook in our organization, our president. We've had WebExes, we've had podcasts. He's been working tirelessly with our marketing department and our digital department to make sure that we were posting whatever we could from an educational standpoint. And I want to give all these people credit. We were all in the boat together because we had to protect the industry. And you have a person even out there, Jeff Canham with Prestige. He's another big advocate, one of your biggest optimists out there in the business. We've got people out there like Dave Deletto, who is a great customer of ours, a client. He was out there. So I look at all these people. I was recently even talking to Jackie Bernstein with Empire Events out in New York, and she's working with NYC Inc. and trying to get New York opened up. So I think that, and at the same time, you got, I know I'm not giving you any time here, Deborah.
Oh, no, you're doing good. You're doing good. You're answering all my questions, so you're good.
In this conversation, but I really appreciate what Caesars has done. With Lisa Messina over there was explaining that this is the longest birthing process they've ever had for the forum, but they've had safe meetings, and then there's been some really, really interesting technologies that have come out of it, like Bowen technology with their contact tracing. So what an interesting period of time and change in our paradigm.
It has been, and kudos to you for the communication strategy that you put into place, because a lot of companies, organizations, probably didn't even think about that. And it's one thing that you have to do for staffing, for sales organizations like yourself, to really embrace what is going on and staying in contact with everyone, because, as things start turning around, you've got good people. You don't want them to go off and work somewhere else. You want them back, and hopefully turning around as quickly as we want to will make that happen. So congratulations on that communication strategy. That was huge. That was like a golden nugget right there for any company to embrace. So good for you. Now, talking about the clients or the customers or decision makers, let's talk a little bit about them. We know that their expectations are going to change coming into this new world of business. Is there any wants or needs that you're hearing out there that's going to be important to them?
Well, I would say what's really happening with our clients is everybody's watching, obviously, what's going on across the country. And there's definitely a new complexity out there to this business. And it's been really tough to gauge. It's been hard to anticipate. So all of the people in our organization are all trying to get a handle on it. We're trying to post things that are happening, cases and mortalities, and we're trying to take surveys on different meetings that are taking place across the country, and then what's happening with those meetings. So the biggest issue here is, believe me, in business, all I'm doing is telling people the obvious, but it's always difficult to project what's going to happen. But you generally can see some indicators and make some sensible assumptions about the future. Right now, we're trying to project with a moving target. And the moving target is regulations that are changing constantly across the country. And we've got, like, I was talking to I have a daughter in England, and they're in a lockdown. They're starting to come out a little bit. Also another daughter in Italy, and they're locked down.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure, and then I was talking to them about what's going on here in the States, and my daughter in England said, well, you're like 50 different countries over there. She said, everybody's got a different regulation. So it's really hard to project. And then we have the transient world, I've heard them. I've heard the motivation there is some of them are calling it revenge travel,
Right.
and they're just going out to wherever,
Right.
if it's in Florida, if it's in Arizona or whatever, and traveling. And then you have clients. We have clients in the pharmaceutical world that are, or in manufacturing or whatever, that are real cautious. And when I talk to some of our clients about some of our third party clients about that, or some of our direct clients, they're all waiting to see who does what, who puts their toe in the water and has a meeting, So,
Right.
so we're seeing very good indicators. I mean, I'm not telling people anything new. Everybody's watching these indicators.
Right.
Event just came out with a great PowerPoint that I received the other day. It was just fabulous, on the direction, which is not dissimilar than what we're seeing in our organization. I think we're up, 200% over what the leads we were receiving in December. But so it's, we're seeing all that, but every one of our clients has different sensitivities, and nobody wants to be responsible for some massive spread of the virus. So they're nervous. There's a liability issue here.
Right.
So,
very, very true. Good points. And when you get a chance to reflect back to this entire year, and let's say you want to judge your own performance. As a matter of fact, this is last week, the hotel management series of conversations of top hotel leaders like yourself did this, and they were rated between a scale of 1 to 10 on how they operated, their business looking back the entire year. So I'd like to ask you that same question from a scale to 1 to 10, 10 being the best. Where do you rate yourself on how you handled everything at Teneo? And be honest.
You want me to brag?
Yes. Yes. Celebrate.
Okay, but here's what the interesting thing here is. Any people that do know Teneo, been to a few of our summits and whatever else, I've come from my history is in different types of businesses. My dabbling and of course my thorough immersion into the hospitality world just really started in probably around 2011, 2012, when I was working with another organization. But so over a number of years, I've developed some philosophies on I've seen a lot of companies run into a crisis and then fail because their knee-jerk reaction was too severe. Their knee-jerk reaction was to give up, and all. And I have to tell you that every day I look at our staff and people that have seen crisis. We've got a very experienced group of people. And fortunately, they're a group that I can talk to and explain things and say, this is the way we're going to survive. And they have a lot of confidence in our leadership, in our executive suite. And we have a very creative people. We have an awful lot of flexibility. And I think we're a very nimble organization. And we've done a lot of different things over this last year to survive. Obviously, austerity and with all that. So I think we've done very, very well in that area. We've also, I appreciate the things that everybody in the organization has done. We've created a virtual director of sales organization in our organization now. And so we've got a group actually called Hotel Sales Services, where we're out there selling that type of product. And that was one where limited service properties out there didn't have a director of sales. They had to let them go. So they needed the help in that area, and we're providing help there. We're also helping people through our consulting arm, particularly in digital marketing. So that's been another revenue source to help us survive. And now, so I'm going to give ourselves, if you want to go 1 through 10, I'm serious. I'd have to give them way above average. Good. And we've had people complain, and what we've done, I think all the mature people in the organization kind of look at it and say, we've been there, we know we have to do this, and we can't give up.
Yeah.
And kind of like what I said before, if you must, you can, and we must. And
Right.
so that's kind of where we went.
That's great. That's great. Good to hear that. I knew you were a high scorer on that.
Well, but
I know you too well to.
if you had asked somebody in our organization, they would say, not so fast. But anyway, I'm very proud. I'm very proud of everybody in the group, and I really
That's
appreciate
great.
all the efforts.
That's great. That's great. Well, here on GMID Day, how is Teneo celebrating?
Well, our group. Well, I would say this is a big part. Everybody around the company, and that would be everybody regionally, is involved in MPI and some of the prospects. We're going to be going later on to a pop-up cocktail hour with some people over at Stations Casinos at Red Rock. And actually, I don't know if you knew this, but I am in Las Vegas.
Oh,
So,
surprise!
yeah, this is one of those years where we decided that we were going to spend this half of the this half of the year here in the West rather than in Minneapolis. And I'll tell you, this is the best way to enjoy a Minnesota winter.
Yeah, right.
By being there. But
and
anyway,
I love the Red Rock. I love the Red Rock.
Sure,
Definitely love the Red Rock. Actually, I used to work at I used to work at the JW Marriott right there near the Red Rock.
Sure.
Which it's a beautiful area, that Summerlin area. So I'm very envious. You'll definitely enjoy it there, especially instead of Minneapolis. I get it this time of year. So, but you got the best of two worlds, right?
Right.
Yeah, good for you. Well, this has been such a delight, and I can't believe how quickly our conversation went, but what a wealth of information, and really appreciate the transparency you shared with us on what's going on with Teneo Hospitality Group. It's very impressive. It's a great organization, and so it doesn't surprise me that you're doing really well, and you'll be doing even better coming out of this as we move forward with our meetings and events industry. Would you like people to connect with you if they want to have the conversation to continue? I know we've got your email and your website for people to know more about Teneo. But I would imagine a good email would be a good way to get a hold of you, right?
I think you've got it going right across the band now.
There you go. I think so. You're all set. Well, good deal. Thank you so much. I really, really, again, appreciate you being on here. This is such a special day, and especially to be the best. We saved the best for last.
Well, thank you, Deborah. I think you had a very good panel today. Thank you very much.
Good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank
job.
you. All right. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. We just had a great, fantastic conversation with Darrell Tamosuinas with Teneo Hospitality Group. Cannot thank him enough for showing up and helping to celebrate GMID 21 with us. But if you'd like to see this episode again, or even share it, please do so. It'll be on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel at Hospitality Today Live. And any feedback, comments, or suggestions, by all means, let us know at hello@hospitalitytodaylive.com. We'd love to hear from you. And now that we have closed out this special GMID 21 edition, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with us today. Whether you were here for one episode or all 12 of them, we just had a blast today, and I hope you did too as well. So how we're going to end this now is we're going to actually take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back and close out the day for you on just a little bit of a celebratory message, and I hope you'll come back and join me. Until then, thank you again.